Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary with the Get Some podcast. And my guest this week is...
This motherfucker Gary.
What's up, everybody? Gary Owen here with the Get Some podcast. So last week, I come on and I tell you I'm filming my next hour special in Washington, D.C. at the Lincoln Theater, January 17th. Man, that joint sold out in less than a week. So we added a second show. So tickets are on sale now. Just go to GaryOwen.live. It'll send you, or you can go to Ticketmaster, type in Gary Owen, and they're on sale. So these are the days that I dreamed about when I started doing stand-up. People have always asked me, like, what's the goal? What's the goal obviously is to be the biggest stand-up in the history of stand-up. I think that's every comedian's goal. But if you're going to ask me, like, what would be like a dream scenario is to have a tour, whether it's theaters or arenas, not comedy clubs. Comedy clubs are great. Don't get it twisted. The comedy clubs have paid me well, continue to pay me well. They're the best. But when you make that next step to theaters, I was like, the goal would be to have a nationwide tour, worldwide tour, and to be sold out before you get to the city. And, you know, to have this, I got this end of the year run. December 26th, I'm in St. Petersburg, Florida. December 27th, I'm in Jacksonville. December 28th, I'm in New Orleans. December 29th, I'm in Mobile, Alabama. December 30th, I'm in San Antonio. And New Year's Eve, as always, I'm in Dallas, or Grand Prairie, Texas, at the Texas Trust Theater. But I know those dates went by fast, but all my tour dates are on GaryOwen.live. And the theaters are selling. They're selling like crazy. Like, I'm in Indianapolis on November 2nd. It's almost sold out. I'm in Reno, November 1st. The first show sold out. Second show is selling. I mean, at the Silver Legacy Casino. I'm in Detroit the day after Thanksgiving. And first show sold out, so we added a second show at the Motor City Casino. Now, November 29th, let me just triple check that. Yeah. So November 29th, I'm in Hammond, Indiana at the Horseshoe Casino. And I did it last year, and we end up almost going clean. If it wasn't sold out, it was almost sold out. And I remember about a month and a half, 2 months out, the casino called and was like, this is underselling to what we thought. And I knew, and my team knew, that we'll be fine. We've been doing this a long time. I'm one of those guys. We hit our number. Like, that's why promoters book me in theaters and clubs. We hit our number. We don't know when we'll hit it, but we'll hit it to where we go into a percentage and everybody's making money. But it takes a little longer. And the fact that even Hammond, Indiana is like 70% sold, maybe 80% by the time this podcast airs. Whereas last year, the same time frame, month and a half out, well, a little over a month out, we was probably 30% sold. So it's just crazy how things can go from here to here in less than a year. And it's all what I take great pride in is it's been self-made. This hasn't been from a movie. This hasn't been from a Netflix, Hulu, or Amazon special. This has been me. Shouts out to, I don't want to say Team Owen, but I want to say guys that are with me T-Robe out of Pittsburgh, Rob Rodriguez out of Phoenix, Adam Fink out of Michigan by way of LA, Chris, my camera guy, Lisa, my manager, CAA, my agent. I feel like I'm doing an award show, thank you. But like more than anything, the guys on the road with me and LMG, my web team, but like Adam, Chris, Rob, T-Robe, you know, they're just my guys and they hold me down. And like any relationship on the road, we're going to have our differences. We're going to disagree on some things. But, you know, in the end, I got their back. They got my back. And if I'm doing well, then they're doing better. And it's just a good time. It's a good time right now. And this DC show, man, this DC show, well, the fact that I'm hiring my guy, Adam, to direct it, you know, when they wanted me to find another director. And I said, no, I'm going to hire my guy. I want the camera guys that have been doing my clips, the clips that are doing numbers. I want Adam, the guy that edited it. He's a young guy. I want him to direct it. I want to give him his first shot. I got a feeling he's going to kill it. I just got a feeling, you know, and not to downplay anybody else that we would have hired, because we met with some people and they were great. They've done a lot of big comedy shows for other people, but at some point you got to give somebody a shot. And I'm spending the money. I want to spend my money on the people I want to hire. It's no different than Adam Sandler putting his boys in his movies, or you see Will Packer and Kevin Hart and Tim Story. They do all these different projects together because you know what you're getting and you're comfortable with them. And, you know, who doesn't want to work with their friends? So I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I know you probably can hear it. I just got off stage in Virginia Beach. That's why you see the hotel room behind me. That's where I'm recording the podcast. Because, shoot, this week sold out so fast, we had to add a Wednesday. I'm like, this is the time that I've dreamt about. The fact that it all came from like clips that we put out, that we recorded, that we edited, I got sent something. I said, well, I didn't like that, but I sent it back. And then, you know, it's awesome. It's awesome that this is definitely a run made by the public, for the public. You know, this isn't a machine behind me, or this isn't quote unquote Hollywood giving me their blessing. It's like, we did it on our own, man. It's awesome. And this is like, you know, shouts out to Mojo Brooks and Desi Banks and Drewski and guys like that. And I've said this on podcasts in the past, man, but those guys are a little younger than me. They might call them the younger generation because there's probably a 15, maybe even 20-year age gap between me and those guys. But I look at them and they're self-made. I mean, Mojo's out here selling tickets, bro, you know, and he's doing theaters now. And, you know, I knew a Mojo Brooks from that football video did when the Bears lost. It looked like he was crying, and his girl was like, "Are you crying?" He goes, "I ain't crying." I was like, who's that guy? And then last year, me and Mojo, last summer, we had a show together with Martin Lawrence. And it's the first time I met him. And then we've had a couple shows since, and he's just like, phew, and it's all self-made. He did himself. He keep his cameras with him. And I had one guy even, his name came up, was talking to somebody, and I brought up Mojo Brooks. And I was like, yo, that guy's like, he's moving some tickets now, man. He's doing his thing. He goes, man, I don't get it, though. He ain't that funny. And I said, I had to stop him. I said, listen, man. I said, he's funny. And you might not think he's funny, but enough people do that think he's funny. And I said, he found a niche, man. He found a way to make a catchphrase, "I know you fucking lying," And a lot of times he'll take the phone out of the audience and be like, call him. He'll call some out and call him. I had never seen that before. So, and you're stand up and you're on stage and you come up with something nobody's come up with, you got to give people the props. I mean, I think we get so caught up in people doing better than us, and some comics get bitter, get upset. They're like, why him or why her? I look at it like, how did it happen? So how can I make it happen for me? I just learn from everybody. So yeah, just shout out to Mojo, man. I see you out there killing it. And Desi and Drewski, you already know how I feel about you two, man. I've worked with Desi so much, and every time I've run into Drewski a couple of times, but it's always been love. That guy's great. I can say it. I'm proud of you guys. I was gonna say, I don't want to say proud. It sounds like uncle, but I guess I am uncle. I am an OG. I am proud of those guys, man. And every time I've been around Mojo, Desi, Drewski, it's all love. It's all positive. We're laughing. You going to this? I remember I saw Mojo in Omaha, and he said, "Yeah, I'm going to Oklahoma City to the comedy club there." I said, well, "Make sure you got the air conditioner working." He goes, "Huh?" Because it was over the summer. I said, "Man," I've been there twice in the summer, and both times the air conditioner didn't work. I think I lost 10 pounds from sweating. He goes, "For real?" I said, "Yeah." Then they act like the vents broke, and I'm like, "Dude, it's been a year." And then I had a girl. This is how I know Oklahoma City. I hope you got air conditioning fixed, Oklahoma City Comedy Club, because I had a girl message me and said, "Hey, sorry I couldn't make your show last year. I'm sorry. Sorry I couldn't make your show this year. I went last year, funny as hell." So I messaged her back and I was like, "Why didn't you make it this year?" It was somehow, as she said it sounded like she just didn't go. And she goes, "Oh, I refuse to spend money in that club till they fix the air conditioning." And I was like, "What?" And she goes, "Yeah, they don't have air conditioning. They won't fix it. I don't know if they're trying to save money or what." But I was like, "Oh." So I remember I told Mojo, I said, "Hey, call and make sure the air conditioning is fixed before you get there." So hopefully they fixed it. But I mean, it's just little things like that. But yeah, it's cool, man. Like I said, I learned about 10, 11 years ago, there's enough for everybody. Because I was at the Schaumburg Improv right outside of Chicago. And Kev Hart was at the United Center, same weekend. And Kev had one show. I think I had 6 but he's at the United Center. I'm at the Comedy Club. Let's put that in perspective. And I remember my agent at the time was like, "You sure you want to go there?" Kev's there. I said, "Let's give it a shot." Kev sold out. I sold out all my shows, and I went, "Oh, there's enough for everybody." And that's the thing, there is. So instead of going off on people, I go, just celebrate everybody, man. It's a lot easier way to live. I'll tell you that. When you're just rooting for people and you're not getting jealous. Or why? Instead of why, say how. And let me figure out how I can blow up bigger. So, yeah, speaking of not throwing people under the bus, I was watching that, was it Kevin McCall? He was like going in on Chris Brown. How he's got a EBT card. He doesn't have any money, and Chris Brown ripped him off. And I'm watching this interview, and I was kind of feeling bad for the guy. He goes, "Man, I just want like $25,000. I help make deuces or something like that." And this is why you don't react. You fall back until you get the whole story. So he said that, and then I think Young Thug said, "Hit me, man. I got $25K for you." And Breezy, he ain't like that. He's a real one. He'll get it to you. Then come to find out, nah, Chris ain't messing with him. Chris is a fucking savage. Chris Brown, I've seen Chris Brown in concert. Best concert I've been to. Remember he freestyle rapped last year, the year before, destroyed somebody in a freestyle rap. I was like, okay. And then the troll. Let me get the exact thing he said. It was so savage. No. I don't want to go so straight. I want the accurate of what he said. And I was like, oh, I'll tell you why this struck a chord with me. Yeah, Kevin McCall sobs while admitting he's on EBT despite writing hits for Chris Brown. Okay, where's the Chris Brown reaction? It was savage. Oh, sorry, it's kind of funny. So Kim McCall's crying. I'm actually feeling bad for the guy. And then Chris Brown says, remember this, you can't walk across the burnt bridge. And you know what's funnier than a troll? A broke one. And then I start reading all the shit Kevin McCall has said about Chris Brown and all this stuff. And I go, oh, again, celebrate people. Don't go in and then you're struggling and you can't go back to Chris because you've done trolled him. You've called him all these names. You've questioned his sexual past. I go, not smart. It's just not smart. But then Kevin McCall went even farther and was like telling people like who can't really sing. And then I was like, oh, yeah. And then Young Thug backed off. Like I didn't know the whole story. Yeah, that was savage. And then Chris Brown said this that made the most sense. If Kevin McCall is responsible for the song Deuces, if he wrote it, if he was basically background performing it, why has he done another hit? Why has he done that again? And I go, yep, I remember, just to relate to me, I remember when my divorce was happening, and I'm not throwing my ex under the bus right here, but I remember some of the posts. Like she said something like I used her for material, or her and the kids are the reason I am where I am. They're the reason, I use them for jokes and stuff like that. I'm the only reason like I'm at where I'm at in my career is because of her. And I was just like, I said, well, no, comedians, we write about our lives in real time, whatever we're going through. And so when he said that about Kevin McCall, I was like, why didn't he write another song? I'm thinking, in my case, I've written 4 hours of material since my divorce. So that clearly was not the case when it comes to that. I only could have jokes about being married to a black woman, having mixed kids. That wasn't the case. So when he said that, I thought of that. And I'm not here to throw shade at her or anything else, but I was just like, comedians, that's what we do. Whatever we're going through in our life. I got twins now. I'm old as fuck. And I got twin toddlers. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to write about that. I'm going to write about the nanny that I have now. Current events, things I'm watching on TV. It's like, that's what we do. So, hey, just keep it moving. But Chris is a savage. The one thing I've learned, you want Chris Brown on your team. You want him on your side. Same with 50 Cent. 50 Cent, same thing. You want that guy in your corner. You don't want that guy trolling you because he be finding out shit. I don't know where he found it from. Like, oh my God. So, yeah. Sports break real quick. Man, shouts out to my Bengals. Shouts out to Joey Flacco. I thought, I ain't gonna lie, season was over. We're done. Even that second half in Green Bay, I thought it might just been something, but Flacco came in and was like, we got Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is the best receiver in the NFL. I'm going to throw it to Jamar Chase. I always wonder why coaches, I think, they try to fool themselves. If you have whatever it is, the best player at their position, let them do their thing. Don't try to trick nobody. Like the Eagles, you know they're going to do the tush push because it works. And they keep doing it. And you know they're doing it. So if you got Jamar Chase, throw him the ball as many times as you can. Throw it to other people too. But at the end of the game, if Jamar Chase does not have the most targets, that's a problem. if he has 20, if T. Higgins has 10 targets, Jamar better have 11. That's all I'm saying. If Yoshi Ashabash has 8 targets, Jamar better have 15. He's the best wide receiver in the NFL. He's on pace to be one of the best of all time. He will need a Super Bowl ring to be considered the best of all time. But I think that's what really separates like Jerry Rice from Randy Moss. Because I never seen a freak like Randy Moss. That first couple years in Minnesota and his first couple years in New England, unstoppable. Unstoppable. And Jerry Rice, Hall of Fame quarterback, throwing the ball, it makes a difference too. So, yeah. To me, the best 2 receivers I ever saw was Randy Moss and Jerry Rice. And I think what separates Jerry Rice from Randy Moss was the Super Bowl rings. But as far as just going up and getting it, And Terrell Owens is a monster too. Don't ever sleep on T.O. That guy, physical, big, just, but he doesn't have a Super Bowl ring. So it's hard to call you the greatest if you don't have that ring, man. That's what's going to end up. If Jamar has the numbers and stays healthy and keeps going the pace he's going to, he needs at least one Super Bowl ring to be in the GOAT conversation because his first 5 years has been unbelievable. And now the Bengals got the Jets coming. The Jets are in disarray. I never take anything for granted, though. I remember the Super Bowl year, they played the Jets, and that Mike White threw for like 400 yards against the Bengals, and they lost. And I was like, NFL, don't overlook anybody. Because let's just be honest. I'm happy we got Flacco. I love Joe Flacco because he's on the Bengals now. But Joe Flacco's MO is to go on a 4 or 5 game run where he looks like one of the greatest quarterbacks ever, but then he's going to have that one game. And you're going to be like, oh, he's going to throw a couple picks. He's going to look flustered. I just hope it's in like 5 or 6 weeks and not the next couple weeks. But, Joe Flacco had arguably the greatest playoff run in the history of the playoffs to beat Tom Brady, Peyton Manning on the road, both games, and then go to the Super Bowl and had 11 touchdown passes, no interceptions. He literally had one of the greatest playoff runs against 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. He was so locked in those games. But he's almost like, I remember when the Bengals went to the Super Bowl against the Rams. I said, this is what I know is going to happen. I was like, Cooper Kupp is going to catch at least 5 balls. Odell Beckham's going to go deep. And Matthew Stafford is going to throw a pick. All that happened. It's like I said it. Matthew Stafford's going to throw a pick. We know that about Matthew Stafford. He's like a little less of a gunslinger than Brett Favre. He's going to try to put it into them spaces and take some chances. So I was like, all that happened. With Flacco, he's gonna look unstoppable. But there's going to be one game. So there's going to be some defense that's going to scheme it up. And he's going to have the 2-pick, 3-sack game. The Bengals are going to score probably 10 points. That's going to happen at some point with Joe Flacco. But we'd be happy with that if he goes like 7-2 till Burrow gets back, or 6-3. We'd be happy. If we can get to 500 this week, 4-4, and just be 500 when Joe gets back, those last 3 games, we could be 7-7. Hopefully 8-6. Those last 3, it's the Dolphins. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. It's the Cardinals. Who knows if Murray's going to be playing by then. And then we get the Browns. Can you pick 3 better games to come back? Just be 500, guys. Sorry, my voice went up. Anyways, yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about this Sunday, baby. Sorry. Hey, this podcast is brought to you by Blue Chew. Now, when it's time to do the dirty, I don't want to call it nasty, because it's not nasty. It's the funnest time you can have with 2 people alone. And you know what I'm talking about. And guys, when we're ready to do what we do with who we do it with, we want to make sure we're performing at our best. And if we can have a little extra help, we're going to take it, baby. And Blue Chew's going to give you that little, you saw it, just went up, then it went down. You see it? This is me without Blue Chew. This is me with Blue Chew. You saw it. Hey, I just took a Blue Chew. Bam! So listen, enough about me. Guys, this isn't just about performance. This is about legacy. And I'm talking about our third legacy. So, give her the group chat something to talk about. You know, when you lay it down, they're talking about how it gets up. Nothing makes you more of a legend than a little Blue Chew. Discover your options at bluechew.com. And we got a special deal for our listeners. As always, get your first month of Blue Chew free. Just use promo code GETSOME at checkout and pay $5 for shipping. That's it. Join Blue Chew's mission to upgrade humanity one thrust at a time. Head to bluechew.com for details and safety info. And as always, a big thanks to Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast. Blue Chew. Hey, this podcast is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Now listen, I'm a guy, I love football. And football season's here. And let me tell you something. If you would have asked me last week, was I going to mess with Underdog Fantasy when it comes to my Cincinnati Bengals? I'd have been like, no. But now that Joey Flacco has brought the jungle back and we're roaring, I think I'm going to go in. I'm going in with my Bengals here. You know, Jamar Chase catching. He's got more catches and more yards than he did last year. And last year was a Triple Crown winner. So what do you think I'm gonna do on Underdog Fantasy? Yeah, I'm a Jamar Chase guy. I'm about to be a Joey Flacco guy. Yeah, Underdog Fantasy is gonna come through for me as long as Flacco and Chase come through for me with the Bengals. So listen, all you gotta do is download the app today, sign up with promo code GETSOME to score $100 in bonus funds or bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code GETSOME. Underdog. Make picks. Win money. Must be 18 years or older in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 years or older in Colorado for some games, 21 years or older in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets, underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org in New York. Call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPENY or text 467-369. And again, if you're going to get on Underdog Fantasy, you heard it here first, you might mess with them Cincinnati Bengals. That's all I'm saying. Thank you, Underdog Fantasy, for sponsoring this podcast. Hey, this podcast is brought to you by Zippix Toothpicks. Now, normally I would have one in my hand. Now you're doing this with all the juicy, flavorful flavors. But I'm a comedian. I'm on the road. I didn't pack my Zippix toothpicks, so now I'm doing this. So listen, if you want to get your fix with Zippix toothpicks, save 10% by using code GETSOME at zippixtoothpicks.com. Do it today. You must be 20 years older. But I just, Zippix toothpicks is just an easier, better way. It's a more discreet way to get your fix. Your little nicotine, caffeine fix. And some of the flavors, they're so good. And I miss it right now. So we're going to believe I got one. And I can pick food out of my teeth with it too. I can pick food out of my teeth or get that flavorful flavor of energy and nicotine fix that I can't get anywhere else. But listen, all I want you guys to do is ditch the cigarettes, ditch the vapes, and get some nicotine-infused toothpicks at zippixtoothpicks.com. Do that today and get 10% off your first order by using the code GETSOME at checkout. Must be 21 years or older. Warning, nicotine is an addictive chemical. Zip more, smoke less with Zippix Nicotine Toothpicks. And again, I miss it. I can't wait to get home to get them back. Thank you, Zippix. Okay, so I did see something. I saw something disturbing on Netflix. Have you guys watched that show, The Perfect Neighbor? It's so freaking sad. One, it caught my eye because the girl's last name was Owens that got killed. But basically, it's this white lady, this old white lady. She lives in this neighborhood where it's not really houses; it's a bunch of half houses. Do they call them duplexes when it's not one? It's all one story. It's it's like one house, but two family houses. And this one white lady is out of control. Let me make sure I give her the proper due that she needs. It was I was on a plane. I was crying on a plane. It was so sad because it was the police body cams showing everything. And hold on just a second. So this is the overview. If you haven't seen it, watch it, but be by yourself because it's some emotional stuff. A seemingly minor neighborhood dispute in Florida escalates into deadly violence. Police body cam footage and investigative interviews expose the consequences of Florida's stand your ground laws. So the white lady's name is Susan Lorinx, Lorinczz, and she killed Ajika Owens with an S. And what made this so disturbing was a neighborhood, there's a lot of kids playing and everything, and this white lady would come out and she called the black kids the N-word. She tried to hit the kids a couple times, destroy their property. She kept lying on them, saying like they were bothering her, and they were just kids playing in the yard. And she called the cops so many times over like a year and a half that the cops would show up and just be like, we know what it is. And every time the cops come, she'd be no, they're bothering me. I'm trying to get some rest. They're waking me up. They're playing all hours of the night. And the cop's like, it's 4 p.m. They're going to make noise. They're kids. They're on my private property. And like, there's a yard. There's no fence. If they kick a ball, it might go into your grass. It was just, it kept escalating, and it was hard because there was nothing you could do. Really, the cops had their hands tied. And it reminded me of, I remember when the first house I lived in Ohio, which was, I moved there about 18 years ago. 18 years ago, I lived there for 7 years, this house in Ohio, right? And we built a basketball court in our backyard. And again, none of the yards have fences in this neighborhood. So we built a half court, and all the kids would come over and play all the time. And I just told them, I said, look, man, if the sun's out, you can come play. I was like, I got a couple rules. I was like, one, if something breaks, tell me. Don't just leave it. Because it was one of them rims you could crank it. So a lot of times the kids would come over and they did, we had the crank in the house, but they say, hey, can we lower the rim, Mr. Owen? And I come down and crank it. And then, so these kids could dunk, these 8th graders and stuff. And then, but I knew if I'm letting them dunk, I'm taking a chance that, they could break something or hang on the rim or something like that. But that never happened. But anyways, I told the kids, I said, look, if anything breaks or anything happens, just tell me. Because the court was kind of close to the back windows, so I could, a ball could hit a window. It's not likely, but it could happen. Or you could be trying to throw at somebody, or kids could be goofing off and throw the ball too hard. I just said, make sure somebody tells me. Don't just have me come out here and find something's broke. Let me tell you something. Nothing ever was broke. Nothing ever went wrong. The only incident we ever had on that basketball court was somebody came and tried to start a fight with other kids. And everybody was like, it was somebody's cousin from out of town. And they were trying to start a fight. And everybody's like, you can't be fighting in Mr. Owens, Mr. Owens basketball court. He ain't gonna let us play. Or these called Mr. Gary. You can't fight Mr. Gary's backyard. He ain't gonna let us play. And I guess the girl like threw the ball and it hit the house like boom. And either my ex-wife or my son told me about it later. And then the kids came over afterwards and told me the whole story. Hey, we're sorry, Mr. Gary. It was like, you know, she threw the ball at the house. She got mad and da-da-da. But we told her she don't live here. She's not allowed over here anymore. And that's why I appreciate it. But, you know, not only was it cool that the kids came and told me that, but it's also cool. It builds a rapport with the neighborhood and everything. And, you know, so that's one way to do things. This old white lady was out of control. And then she like really went off on her kids and took some of her kids' stuff. And then the Ajika Owens went over there and pounded on her door to try to get her kids' items. And the lady shot her through the door and killed her. And what made it so sad was, one, the door was dead bolted. She was not in fear of her life. She already called the cops, and she shot her less than 2 minutes later, and then she called 911. Said she feared for her life. And I was just like, what was so sad about it was the kids. The police officers had their body cams on, and you see the moment that her kids find out that their mom died and that lady shot her. And those kids were freaking devastated, especially the two boys. Man. And the cops couldn't really arrest her right away. They had to get all the facts. And they did their due diligence. And in this case, the justice system played out right. And I will say there was protest. The Ajika Owens was black, and it was an old white lady. So obviously race came to play for a little bit. But in the end, the protests were peaceful, never got violent, and she got put away for life, as she should have. And shouts out to everybody in that neighborhood that protested, because you made sure your voice was heard. You respectfully was talking to the police officers, and the police officers were being respectful to the citizens also. And that's one thing that I took away from this documentary that was so sad was, you know, the interaction, the relationship. Every cop was white that would show up at her door, this white lady. And it got to a point where they knew she was bullshitting. But the way they would talk to all the black neighbors, and it wasn't a broke neighborhood, but it definitely wasn't, you know, crushing it either. And as far as financially, these are probably people working paycheck to paycheck and, you know, just trying to get through life, basically. But you saw like the white cops interacting with the black adults, the men, the mothers, the fathers. And it was just like, oh, this is stuff that the media doesn't report on. The media wants you to think that a lot of cops are killing black people for no reason. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but this is also another side of it. You see the cops showing up, just having conversations. And you see the kids coming up going, you know, she took my roller skate. She took my roller skate. And I'm going, what, you know, what cop is going to pull up? And a white cop pulls up and a black kid comes to their car and goes, this lady stole my roller skate. You're not going to get mad at the kid. You're not going off on the kid, you know? So, you know, shouts out to the police department, everybody that just handled this case the right way. And I'm so glad that lady got locked up. And he found out that she researched Stand Your Ground, and she thought she had a case. And she was just a ticking time bomb waiting to happen. And she'd always act mild manner when the cops would show up. But then one time they came And they knocked on her door and she goes, "Who is it?" And then you kind of saw the real her. And then she like answered the door in a nightgown. And like she was acting like, "Oh, what? Like, I guess she ran her car into some kind of fence, some kind of property. And they called the cops on her. And then when the cops came, she didn't know who it was at first. So when they were knocking on her door, you could hear her yell, "Who is it?" And then they're like, "Police department." She goes, "I'll be out in a minute." And then she came out and she was very mama. "I'm sorry. I was taking my medicine and I was scared for my life." And then I was like, she's just an evil woman, you know? Listen, I always put it like this. If you don't want kids fucking with you, don't live in a neighborhood with kids. Move. Find a senior citizen community or adults only community. But if you're going to live in a neighborhood with kids, you're going to have to deal with some sounds during the day. You know what I mean? And you can go about it two ways. You can get mad at the kids, or you can play with them or go talk to them, talk to the parents. "Hey, I usually nap between 12 and 3. You mind if they keep it down? Like, play on that side of the street during that time?" All you got to do is go talk to people. Most people are reasonable. But she was just a bitch, you know? You know what? I couldn't sugarcoat it. She was a bitch. And I'm so glad she's in jail. And I feel so bad for those kids. But, yeah, it was so sad, man. Seeing them kids when they found out their mom passed away. It was one of the saddest things I've ever seen on camera. Because it wasn't no acting. I just put myself in everyone's shoes. The dad came in. Because the dad wasn't living with her, but the kid's dad came in and he's one that had to tell him. And it was just like, all because it's a crazy white lady that it's like when you talk about living around kids, it's almost like these people that go off on these airlines. And I'm going, you're selfish. Or if there's a baby crying, or kids acting up. It's one thing being adults, but if there's kids acting up, listen, that's something you might have to deal with if you fly commercial. And if you don't want to deal with it, either drive or get a private plane. But if not, you might have to deal with a crying baby. I had a baby crying today on my flight. Nothing I could do about it. Baby was just crying. It stopped after about 20 minutes, but it was pretty loud for about 20 minutes. You know? And everybody on my flight today was just like, all right, we're dealing with it. Nobody was bitching. Nobody was like, "I always said, baby, shut up." I was like, nah, just crying baby. That's what they're going to do. Put yourself in the baby shoes. They can't talk. Something's wrong. The only way they can stress, "Hey, I'm uncomfortable," is to cry. That's it. So yeah, Perfect Neighbor was sad, man. But it was educational. It was, I don't want to say entertaining. It was just good. Just good TV that had the saddest ending, yet the justice system played out the way it should have, you know? And you saw people protesting the right way, having discussions with the cops. They was like, "Look, if this is the other way around, if this would have been a black lady shooting a white lady, I don't think the black lady would be walking free," because that white lady was walking free for a while. But they didn't say it. They didn't blame the police officer they were saying it to. They were just saying the system in general. And the cops were great too. All the police officers that came to those neighborhoods, they all handled it. Even the way they spoke to the kids after their mom passed and everything, it was how you hope the police interact with everyday citizens. It's how you hope, you know. And nobody has brought that up really. That's one thing I noticed of how good the interaction was with the police. Because there was a lot of times it was the same cops coming over and over again. They were like, "This is the 5th time we've been in this neighborhood. The only person that complains about these kids is this one lady. No other house complains." And the lady was like, "Well, I don't know why they're always messing with me." I'm like, "Because it's you, bitch. It ain't them. It's you." So, yeah, watch Perfect Neighbor. All right. Well, yeah. Well, next week, I'm going to be talking about Charlie Sheen. I only watched the first episode of that on Netflix. I'm going to watch the second one this week. So next week, I can't wait to get into this Charlie Sheen documentary on Netflix, because that first episode was a doozy. And I got a great Charlie Sheen story for you next week. But that's next week. So, all right, y'all. This is Gary with the Get Some Podcast. See y'all next week.
This motherfucker Gary.